say some things that might be usable for the intro. Let's do that.
Say the podcast name. Say our names. And then share what we think it is.
Welcome to It's Happening for You.
For you. Is this even the song we want to start our podcast with?
This is It's Happening for You, the podcast with Robin Meharry and
Stephanie Lentini.
we love you. Love you. And then the music begins. Hi. So good to see you.
You too.
It's been a long time. It feels like it's been forever, but
it does. It's been like a couple weeks though.
Mm-hmm. Which is long for us.
I know. So much has changed.
Well, you're in Colorado now. You're living in a whole new place.
I'm in the tiny house.
Oh, the tiny house. That's awesome. I want to see it.
Okay. There's the bathroom and kitchen.
So cute.
And the bedroom's up there.
Awesome.
And then here's the living room. Period.
Awesome.
And the dining room. And I'm in my pajama shorts.
I love it.
I just got back from hanging out with my brother.
Oh, because he lives right down the road, right?
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Yes. And his favorite sushi restaurant is like walking distance from where we live now. And so we were like in the car, like, okay, let's go to sushi. And then I pulled up the map and it was like 11-minute walk. And I was like, we should just walk there. That sounds like glorious.
Ugh.
So we walked there and we walked back. And then we went to the mall, which is across the street that way, and just walked around the mall for a little bit. It was awesome.
So fun. That's what you did today?
Yeah, we just got back from the mall.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Yes. I feel like I gotta like settle into like.
I know. Same.
Like, what do I want to share with you today? You know, like.
I know.
Oh my gosh. What's been going on with you? Like, what's been up?
I mean, so last weekend was Memorial Day weekend and it was just jam-packed. And I knew it was going to be, you know, like I went into it knowing that it was going to be like full on. And I even deleted a lot of like things that I was committing myself to. And I like
feel like doing.
Yeah. And I changed my focus and my priorities to be, the whole point I was going up is for my aunt and uncle's 80th surprise birthday party.
Yes.
And so I brought my focus kind of more back on that and made that the priority and kind of let other things drift away. But even with that being said, I just was like, I drove so much in a 4-day span. It was like insane. And like all worth it because my aunt and uncle were so surprised. And it was so amazing. Like they deserve every bit of that. I could cry. So I'm just so happy I was able to like show up. Everybody was able to show up for them and like really just have them really feel how loved they are by us, the family.
You said it was their 80th what?
Birthdays. So they both turned 80 this year.
Yeah. Okay, this year. Okay. Yes. So it's not like they don't have the same birthday.
No. So this is basically one of them turned 80 in March, March 20th, and the other one turns 80 September 20th. Oh. So they're like, this was almost exactly in the middle of both their birthdays.
That's like the spring equinox and the fall equinox.
Yes.
Like exactly.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I know. And they're like totally soulmates.
Like,
and
just, yeah, totally. Like that feels really
significant.
They're
like the relationship that I've witnessed in my life that is like the closest to like what I would describe as a soulmate
Yeah.
relationship. It's them.
Wow.
They are just so in love. It's like the sweetest thing.
Mm.
And they just have like so much respect and
Mm-hmm.
love for one another, you know? So,
Yeah.
um, anyways, but it was just really full on. And then I like flew back and there was my friend's friend was here. So we had like a late dinner with her Sunday night. And then Monday we had planned for a barbecue, a bunch of people coming over.
Mm-hmm. You rescheduled
And
that past one.
yeah, exactly. And so, and then I was like watching Tiger Lily, like right off the bat, the baby. And so I just feel like I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
felt so exhausted the last, 3 or 4 days. And like today I'm feeling like my head doesn't feel as foggy, but like,
Mm.
it still feels heavy.
Mm.
And it's that whole process stuff again of like yesterday I cried. Like I just was like got to a point and I was just like talking to my friend and I was telling her, Charlie, and I was like, I'm just so tired and we're leaving in a week for Switzerland.
Yeah.
And I didn't know like where our schedule was for this week. They have somebody that's coming to stay. We kind of are like mixing around our like childcare days and trying to squeeze in everything
Mm-hmm.
before we leave, right? And I just had like it was just like this week the week to come was just like this huge question mark, right?
Mm.
And just felt so overwhelmed. I had this moment of just feeling so overwhelmed, so tired. And I just started crying.
Yeah.
I was just like, and I even like was walking. Charlie was like, "You look so sad." I was like walking with my shoulders like
Oh, yes.
I was just like, I'm just so depleted. And yesterday morning in meditation, I just kind of, I always just kind of welcome whatever is meant to come in, messages or whatever. And the
Mm-hmm.
message I got so clearly yesterday was like calling back all my energy because I
Mm.
did really go up north and put out a ton of
Scatter
energy.
your seeds.
Yes, exactly. And it was like, okay,
Mm.
time to call it all back in. And
Mm-hmm.
so it feels like this process, but the tricky thing is that what then our mind does is I start going, maybe there's something like seriously wrong with me. Maybe I need to go get
Mm.
blood work. And then I'm not
Mm.
even saying that out loud, but I'm having those thoughts. And then my
Yeah.
friend Charlie is like, maybe you need to get blood work,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. But when I check in with myself, I feel really healthy.
Yeah.
Like I really feel like my body feels so good. It has
Yeah.
felt like better than it has in a long time. Like no aches, no pains, but I do have these waves of real like depletion.
Mm. Mm.
So I'm just being with it.
Yeah.
Um but it can be hard,
Yeah.
that my mind comes into play and wants to figure out why
Yeah. And wants to fix it, make it go
and
away.
fix it. Yeah, exactly. So, like even saying that right now, I could cry. Like it's feels like a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's nothing to fix and nothing's gone wrong.
and so which brings me to
Yeah.
what you sent me, the
Ooh.
communion of light,
Yeah.
those little clips.
Yeah. I don't remember what I sent you, but I've been losing my mind over it. So tell me about it.
So you sent me, what's it called? Like decision. My gosh,
Deciding for wealth,
deciding. Yeah, but it was for
health.
it was for mainly abundance and wealth were like the different clips, but then there was one on well-being.
Yep. there was an intro, and then number
Yes.
2 was about health and well-being. Number
Yes.
3 was about wealth and abundance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you know what I'm talking about.
How perfect. I do, because I remember where I was when I listened to them. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I listened to that and I was like, oh, okay, just relax back into the truth
Yeah.
that I can allow my well-being,
Yes.
the flow of well-being, and all is well.
And actually, like, as you're saying that, it's like the well-being hasn't escaped you. It hasn't
Mhm.
gone anywhere. It's not like you need to bring it back. It's more so just a matter of perception. And oftentimes when there's tiredness, we resist it.
Mm-hmm.
Tiredness is one thing that I think in general people don't like to feel.
Yes.
And then we put brakes on it and say, no, I shouldn't be feeling this. And it turns to exhaustion.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, knowing that well-being is still here, allowing it to return to even your ability to perceive it,
Yep.
and also allowing the tiredness or
Exactly.
exhaustion and just
Mhm.
letting that be too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things it says in that clip is like, yeah, I allow myself to rest and
Yes, I
be
remember that.
tired. And I was like, oh,
Can I
even like,
really?
yeah, can I really? And it's like, yeah. And I think the struggle personally that I'm feeling right now, because what I shared previously, I don't know if it was on one of the podcasts or not, but with you was, that I just kind of went through a wave of
Mm-hmm.
recharging and rejuvenating and
Yeah, and you're like, I've been
re-energizing.
telling myself I'm tired and I'm going to stop telling myself that. Yeah.
Yes. And then I recharged. And I mean, honestly, thankfully, that was all perfect, right? Because I recharged, where then I had the energy to go
Mm,
on this trip.
mm.
But I think I used all the energy I recharged to. And now it's like back,
Your
or
battery, I'm like seeing like a
yes,
battery and it's like the battery's drained and now it needs to fill back up.
exactly. So, which like all, if my mind needs some logic to it, like that all logically makes sense, right? Like,
Mm,
um, and it's also, I think the real like thing here present for me in this moment is just allowing
yeah. That's like
without,
exactly what I'm getting
yeah,
to. Without
without
what?
trying to figure it out or give a reason or how
Think
to get out
something's
of
gone
it.
wrong. I mean, there's this underlying assumption that something's going wrong and therefore I need to fix it.
Yes. And
And
that's where the emotion comes from.
yeah,
I think that's like where my sadness is coming, like this emotion that's coming that is feeling sad because
yeah,
there is this judgment
yeah,
that something has gone wrong.
yeah. It's so perfect too. Like that this is what you're bringing up today because I can already sense, well, I got a
Of
title for
course.
this. No, I'm just kidding. But
I
like
know, right? I was thinking that.
in the last week, I made the move from Las Vegas to Colorado and immediately went to Wyoming with Thomas. Like as soon as I got here one night, I don't remember what night of the week it was, and then we drove up to Wyoming the next day. And
Right.
the travel for me was incredibly rejuvenative. Like it was,
Mm.
I listened to sample after sample after sample from the Communion of Light. And I felt like I tapped into a whole new level of awareness of how much, not even how much, because it's everything, but awareness of what that we're creating everything.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not like how much we're creating. It's like, oh, that literally everything
Yes.
is a creation of my imagination. And
Correct.
this is, like I said, blowing my mind. And I really got into this like super peaceful place of like presence with just being in the now moment and acknowledging that I have everything here and now, and everything is delightful and it's all here for me, and just feeling so alive, but maybe reverence, I don't know, for what is available, what's here for us. What?
Sorry, I just looked out the window and I just saw a hummingbird, which I have not seen on this property
That's
yet.
amazing.
Sorry, I was like,
You're like,
because the moment, like, I'm sorry,
because I paused. I was
yes, but also for the people that can't see us, like, I just had like an experience of listening to you. I like you like had a ring of light go around you, and I was like taking in your words so deeply that it was making me cry. Like I was getting teary, and then I was like, oh, I don't know, it was a moment. I was just like, yes, wow, this is what it's all about. And I look over and there's a hummingbird. And I'm like, holy shit.
yes.
Wow. That was anyways, that was an incredible experience.
This week, Robin, I told my brother earlier I wasn't going to talk about this here, but I'll tell you about it because of course I want to tell you about it.
I know, right?
I have been changing the weather to my preferences. Literally multiple times I've been like, I don't want it to rain right now. I'd like that cloud to go around. I'd like it to clear up. I'd like the hail to stop. And I've been using the specific words. I'm deciding for this. I'm deciding for that cloud to go elsewhere. I'm deciding for this. And it's like, so, and I was on the top of my mountain in my cave, just so peaceful. I was just a peaceful little baby monk. And then we came back into Colorado and it just felt like noise and traffic and construction and 2 lanes instead of, it just like, it felt so wide and expansive in Wyoming and New Mexico and on these driving. And then we came into what felt like constriction. It literally felt that way. And yesterday we went climbing with a bunch of friends, and yes, I went climbing.
Yes,
and
yeah.
Yes, I climbed.
Like, oh,
I know now it just
awesome.
seems so normal, right? But yes, I
Yeah.
climbed 3 things.
Wow.
And I was like, by the end of the day, just fucking done. By like 2, I was like, I want to go home. And we were like waiting for the car at the mechanic, and Thomas needed to run all these errands like after we had hung out with people for 8 hours. And I thought Thomas, like, we were heading back to the dealership because the vans, they're getting the brakes looked at, and we were heading back, and Thomas like skipped the exit that I thought seemed most logical to get off at. And I was like, oh my God, is he taking me home? Like, can he take me home? And I was kind of pouting, and then I started getting excited, and I was listening to music in my headphones because I was like, done. I was done listening. I was done talking. I was in the back seat, and we had his friend was in the front seat. And I was like listening to spa music as loud as I could to try to like not hear them talk.
Spa music?
Yeah. Like relaxing massage playlist on Spotify.
That's great.
And I was like, Thomas, are you taking me home? And he was just like, no, this is the way Google has me going. And he like shows me the map, and it's like red. And it literally had us go south to go north to go to like the most busy intersection of all of Denver. And I was just like, oh my I was like, please take me home. Like, don't make me go there. And he was like, no, we've got to, like, I can't take you home right now. I don't have enough time. And I was just like, and I just got so mad, like the contrast, of like full battery and then empty battery. And I was so mad. And I was like, you're not allowed to be mad, Stephanie. You shouldn't be drained from social interaction. You shouldn't be so judgmental. Why are you judging these people for how they're talking and what they're talking about so much that it's making you tired and that you have to go home and that you got to be alone? And all of it just came just swirling in. And I was like trying my darndest to keep it back, like a dam of negative thoughts. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to be mad. And I sat in the back seat and I was just like, I just turned up my spa music even louder. And I looked out the window, like literally I felt like a pouting child, like throwing a tantrum. And I looked out the window and I was just like, I'm going to burn that building down. I'm going to build that down with my laser beams out of my eyeballs. And I just like let myself be mad, annoyed, pissed off. And it was so really cool and interesting because there was like this noticeable moment where I was like, no, 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 no. And then I was like, I'm whatever. Floodgates open. I wasn't obviously yelling at anyone in the car. I was just having the experience of letting myself feel the feelings that I was trying to not feel. And we were like in crawling traffic. And as soon as I started like burning things down with the laser beams in my eyes, the traffic started moving. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a metaphor or just a manifestation of like, as I allow myself to move this emotion and not resist it, like immediately movement became apparent in my entire environment around me. And it came to this like the anger just it felt like it's kind of increasing. And then there was just like a point in which then I could feel like it was going back down. And anyway, all that to say that nothing's ever wrong or bad. And movement is like variety. It is the spice of life. And as we just allow ourselves to be tired or angry and not judge that as bad or wrong, and I'm still getting this, like, it's not like there's this final destination where it's like, oh, I got it now for good. But I had the same experience yesterday. I had something of like allowing emotions. And this morning I had a private session with the Communion of Light.
Again?
Frank, yeah, I've had 3 now.
What?
Yeah. They're affordable. I'm telling you, like it's easily affordable for me. So I'm like, he just had a flash sale. I should have sent you, but it's not a big deal because 30-minute sessions are still only $75, which is like done.
Yeah, done.
I get so much out of my private sessions. And I was asking, I started off
I'm
just
so
asking.
excited.
I know. It's like, oh my gosh, I just bought 4 more sessions. I was just like, yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. I love
it. I
it.
asked about this morning and I haven't re-listened to my recording yet, but it was really powerful. I was almost thinking of making one of our podcast episodes be like some of my private sessions.
Yes, please do.
I feel like that is really cool. Why not?
Yes, absolutely.
They've been so amazing. And I started off this morning saying, I've been kind of feeling like I was feeling so good. And in the last day, I've been feeling kind of like crappy and uncomfortable emotions. And I have tools that I use to move with them and allow them and through them. But I'd love to hear like what your perspective is. Like, what are some things that I can do from your perspective when uncomfortable or negative emotion comes up? And it was really awesome, like the things that they said, but the essence of it was like, let it be there. Like, first and foremost, accept it. That was like step one.
Yeah.
Accept it.
Yes. It's just so the word that's coming through is profound and simple, right?
Yeah.
Because even yesterday when I had that moment of like, I literally, was talking to my friend and I was like, allowing myself to feel the fullness of my tiredness.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt the emotion come up of crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think I'm going to cry. And then I was like, I'm going to cry. I'm going to allow myself to cry. And I just saw her and just cried. And she came over and hugged me. But it's like, even that moment of allowing that, because I think I was kind of pushing that down all day.
Yeah.
Of like just really allowing the tiredness, allowing the emotion around it.
Yeah.
That the second I did, like, of course I felt like exactly what you were just saying with you letting yourself be mad.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, that was the peak. And then I started coming back down.
Yeah.
And then in that process, it was like I was floating downstream again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I was able to have conversations with Charlie and Julian here about, what we can expect for the next week before we leave and all this
Yeah.
stuff. So all these things that were kind of swarming in my head then
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's figured out.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, whoa. Like it just felt flowing again. And it's like,
It's funny because it's like the stream never stops, but what stops what is us. We like attempt
Yep.
to stop. And as I picture it, like if you're imagining a stream, it's like, and our bodies are in it, then we try to stop and the water's flowing and
Yeah.
you can just feel the resistance of like, I just want to flow. I just want to keep moving.
Yep. Yep.
And we're like, no,
Yeah.
not this way.
And this is so tiring to hold on to these boulders and try not to float downstream.
Totally.
The thing that I love about like having these conversations with you is that we can like show up and like obviously be honest about this stuff and like what's going on for us. And it's great because even having then this conversation with you, it's stuff that I'm like, journaling about and meditating on, but then being able to reflect that back and discuss it with someone else. I'm getting so much from this conversation right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like opening up my
absolutely.
awareness even more to
Mhm.
like, and it just feels so good. It feels so good.
Mhm.
Like I feel so good right now.
Lighter, I'm guessing.
Yes. That's it. Exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah, the pressure's off.
Yes.
Nothing's wrong.
Nothing's
What's
wrong.
with you. And you don't need to go, you can if that feels good to you and better, but like you don't need to go to a doctor because when you're looking for problems, you tend to find them.
Well, and that's the thing. I was even like
Not giving
reminding
medical advice, but
No.
I'm just saying
No.
that when you look for problems, if you do
Yes.
screenings for problems, and one might say, well, the screening showed you that it was there, but it's like it's literally in your attention to it that it
Yes.
manifests.
Completely.
That's
And the thing is that like
I'm like whispering.
I know, don't tell anyone. Shh. But it's like one of those things I was reminding myself this morning when I had this thought come up again. and checking in with myself. Like I was doing it in meditation where I was going from my head into my heart, into
Mm,
like, you know,
yeah.
my soul, not my
Yeah.
head.
Drop down into your body and out of
Yes.
the logical mind that wants to figure everything out.
Yes, exactly. And I was
Yeah.
like, that doesn't feel like a choiceless decision
Mm,
to go to a doctor right now.
mm-hmm.
And if it was, it would present itself to me in this
Mm-hmm.
way that's like, boom,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And that's not where I'm at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, trusting that, like, once we really trust our intuition, our gut, our guidance, it doesn't lead us astray. It's not
Mm,
tricking us, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, just ignore that symptom you're having.
mm-hmm.
If you ignore it, then it won't be real or whatever. We're not talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about moving from your head that goes to paranoia sometimes and
Mm-hmm.
creating,
Mm-hmm.
these things into back into our bodies of really listening to ourselves.
Mm,
And at that place, if I went into my body and my body was like, yeah, something's up, you might, this get this checked out, I would totally listen to that. That's not what was coming up for me,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
All is well.
All is like way better than well.
Well, okay. So now on like the contrary to what we were just talking about, another experience I had while I was in Northern California was Friday morning. I had
Mm-hmm.
some time and I was staying at a friend's house and it just magically happened where the house was quiet. She has 3 kids. Like the
Mm.
house was quiet. I had this time to myself. And we had launched our podcast, right? A couple days earlier. I was starting to like let different people know, different groups of people
Mm.
know. And I was just getting this like flooding of love, flooding.
Mm.
And I was just sitting there and feeling all the love that I am. And
Mm-hmm.
then also just like I was just in complete awe
Mm.
of my life and the magic that is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just crying from pure joy and love.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, this is my life. Like, it's so beyond my wildest dreams of what I ever thought was possible. Yet,
Mm-hmm.
this is my life and this
Yeah.
is how I live it. And it's so unconventional. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is not by any template at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, it is, I couldn't imagine living another way now.
Mm.
It's to me perfect. And so I wanted to like definitely share that experience I had because it was so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I think this is off of you sending me some of these clips from the Communion of Light. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
he's called, Frank?
Yes.
Um, but that realization too of that everything I've created that I'm experiencing right now in my physical reality are from like the fact that I'm staying and helping raise my childhood best friend's daughter. Do you not think that when I was a child, her and I had a conversation? Let's live together when we're older and help raise each other's kids. 1,000% I had that thought. 1,000% we talked about it. We imagined it. We played in that reality.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like all these little things in my life. I was thinking about all the things that I have created and I'm experiencing. I'm like, I could almost take it back to a time years and years ago where I had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
about it. And I was like, holy shit, I'm experiencing it now.
Yeah.
That's wild. So to go back to, because I really wanted to go back to this point of what you said earlier in this conversation of like, it's blowing your mind
Yeah.
how we're creating everything. I
Yes.
also had that moment of like, bro, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, it's true.
One of the things that I feel like um they say that I've never heard to this degree is like they're like everything's being manifested. You don't have to like use that word as if like just occasionally you manifest things. Like you're literally manifesting absolutely everything in your environment by your imagination of it. Everything is created through your imagination.
Yeah.
And it's created with no glitch. It's like that wall stays white because you have a desire for continuity and permanency. It makes everything feel good and stable and steady to you. You have a desire for it and such a strong expectation that it will. Like you just have
Yes.
such a strong belief around it. Just there's no lag between your desire and the belief system or mental constructs around it. So it is.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
is. And also it could be different if you desired it to be, but like basically what they say is like 99% of everything that you're manifesting by default. Like you're just
Yes.
not even aware that you're manifesting, but
Yeah.
everything we're experiencing, we've created it
Yes.
for ourselves. This everything. And then there are other things that we like to stretch out a little bit for the fun of it. And also because there are different ideas that we've picked up in society and so on that and culturally that put sprinkles of doubt that you can do that too with that particular thing or that particular thing or that particular thing. This is what I wanted to say. And I didn't know I was going to get here now, but I like
Right.
knowing that I'm creating everything. And so, and it's all like, if I really wanted to, it could like change the color of this notebook, but I don't really care to. I mean, I don't know. I don't really need to. Like, doesn't matter to me to change things that look like how they are. But there are some things that like I would like to decide for them to be different. Like what I was talking about with like weather. Like,
Yes.
I would like to decide for that or for this or for that. And yeah, weather's been the first one that I started with where I was just like, just easy. It's the cloud. Clouds change so much. Like we can see that they're constantly changing and that the wind comes this way and the wind comes that way. Why not? Like it just felt like such an easy thing to start with. You know what I mean?
Mm.
At first I wanted to I was like, I want a bunch of hawks to appear. And I saw them in my dream, but I still, it wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't, I feel like just cat's got my tongue. It's like, stop talking, Stephanie. I
No.
had to like have a moment of silence. Maybe there's something you want to say right now. Cause
Well,
I just,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, just on like the point of weather, this isn't the first time I've, of course, heard and have experienced myself too of being able to change weather. And what comes to mind is Sarah Landon had shared that she had experience of exactly what you just said, that she was sitting in her backyard and I forget if it was like, I'm pretty sure she I'm trying to think if she wanted rain or didn't want rain. I'm not sure which one, But the point of it, let's just say that she wanted rain. So
Mhm.
then a rain cloud just came over her house
Yeah.
and poured.
Yeah.
And then she talked to her other friends in the neighborhood and was like, "Oh my gosh, that rain today." And they're like, "What rain?" You know, and it she was sharing this story of exactly what you were just saying, is that we can, if you, the thing I think that is like important in what you were just sharing is that you really believed you could do that. Like there wasn't a doubt in your mind that you could decide for
Yeah,
the
that's
weather
the
to
thing.
be.
There's something about those words that have been really profound for me, that I specifically said, I'm deciding for that cloud to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm deciding for it. I'm
Yeah.
deciding for the hail to stop. I'm deciding for, yesterday when we were climbing, we were like in the mountains, and the weather comes from behind, and there's this whole idea that weather just sneaks up on you and then you just get totally fucked. And we were like wrapping up climbing and hearing thunder. And I had kind of forgotten all the other times I'd played with weather in the last couple of days. So I was feeling the anxiety that the rest of the group was about getting completely downpoured on, and even like having to leave gear up there or whatever if there was like lightning. And I was one who cleaned the route. I like climbed really quick and I got it down and then lowered, and I was putting everything away, and I was kind of like, oh, oh no, I hope it doesn't do this. And then I was like, wait, I can decide what I want right now. Like, I don't, like, in this moment, I can just be like, this is what I want, and I can decide for that. It's not like I'm deciding for the future. I didn't decide for the future, I just decided for this moment right now. Like, I want to walk out of here dry. I just want to walk out of here dry. I don't want to feel rushed. I don't want to get soaked. I don't want to be cold. I didn't give a lot of the time to what I didn't want. I really was just like, you know what? I don't have to get caught up in this frenzy of feeling like it's a chaotic universe that I have no control over.
Yeah.
And they really do talk about like this perception that it's a chaotic universe. And like, it's not a chaotic universe.
Yes.
Everything is being created specifically based on your attention and
Yes.
based on your, like, what you're expecting and
Yes.
imagining to happen. So we were imagining a downpour. Of course a downpour would occur, but I just in that moment went, I'm not going to imagine that. I don't want it. I don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to picture it in my mind and imagine walking out and it's muddy and um and I said to the group, and I might have already said this to you earlier, but I said to the group, do you want me to stop the weather? And I was like, just joking. It was like, do you want me to stop the weather? And then we just packed up and we walked out, and I walked slowly and I felt calm again. I felt like I've decided for this. And so it is. And then I even added like, ooh, and maybe we'll get a little sprinkle towards the end to just like the most delightful little like mist to
Missed.
cool us off,
Yeah.
just like perfect. And it was a quite a hike. It's like a 30-minute hike. We go like down into a valley and then back up and then down into another valley and then back up. And then we're like on this plateau. We're walking to the parking lot. No rain the entire time. And then mist comes. And Thomas is like checking the radar because he has all these apps on his phone. I mean, that's like his job. He's like,
Yeah.
90% of his job is like checking the radar and trying to avoid weather, which now I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine if you could just decide whether you wanted, Thomas? But I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily like try to teach him. I just let him observe.
Yep.
And he was like, oh my gosh, it's like the clouds on the radar just stalled. Like they just like haven't moved since we started walking down the hill. And now they're just like going around us. And he was like, did you do that? And I was like, I told you. But
Wow.
back to the whole like languaging around it, it's light. I don't have a lot of resistance with
Yep.
weather. I don't have a ton of doubt that I can't do it. There's just like,
Yes.
I just feel easy about it. I don't feel attached too. There's probably a component that's like, it's like, well, it could rain on us. Like that's a potential and a possibility, and that could happen. But also, like, is that what I want? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not super attached. So maybe this is part of why it's been so fun and easy for me, is like, it's a light desire, but that I feel pretty strongly about, like, my preference for, and don't have a ton of doubt that it can happen because clouds move so easily, or whatever it is that I'm telling myself. And then also, I don't have a lot of resistance in my past about it. I'm not
Yes.
tremendously attached to it. So like, it's been easy, and I'm eager to apply that to so many more things in my life. I'm just deciding for this now. I'm deciding for this now. And now is also what seems to be important, not in the future,
Yes.
but now.
Yes.
What do I want now?
Mm.
Because nothing matters but the now moment. Like, truly, there's no other moment than now, 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 now. There's always only now. Like
Mhm.
the communion of light talks about time in a very cool way. And they say, like, literally time is just a mental construct that humans use for, like, the psychological reason of organizing
Yes.
things. It just helps us feel organized
Yes.
mentally.
Yes.
Like there's some order and logic to things, but they're like, there is no actual time. And they also say, like, I must have already said this to you too. I feel like I'm having deja vu, but like, we're not moving, that things are coming. Did I say this to you? Like,
No,
we're
I
not,
don't think so.
I was talking to my brother about it earlier. Like, this is me hearing something and not necessarily experiencing it. So I'm repeating what I've heard and what I'm now playing with to experience as like a integrated experience. But
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so I'm repeating what I've heard is what I'm saying. I'm not knowing this from experience, but what they propose is that we're not actually moving spatially as like it would appear that we are,
Mm-hmm.
that where it looks like that, but that actually everything is just coming to us.
Mm.
And they're like, and so like, when you walk up a hill and you there's this perception of depth and incline and height, and there's a whole experience around what humans say about their bodies and muscles getting sore when you walk up a hill, et cetera, et cetera. That is just your perception of it, but you're actually not moving at all, even though it looks like your legs are moving. And I've been like, I asked them about that. I was like, so can I lose weight without working out?
Yeah.
Like, what? And they're like, yeah.
Yes.
What
Exactly.
what are you telling yourself about your body? And I, as soon as I asked that question, I was like, oh yeah, because I'm totally aware that, like, as of right now, the construct around weight loss is exercise and diet.
Yes.
Like, that's just, as much as I'm like, I don't really buy into it, it's still a
Yes.
story that completely surrounds it. And I'm like, so I'd love to have the experience of thinning or slendering or whatever you want to call it, toning, without the hard work component to it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you help me with, like, how to achieve that? And they're like, yeah, just have it now. And they're like, we would recommend this for you, not necessarily for everyone, but we'd recommend you spending 10 minutes a day writing or speaking or typing affirmations. And I was like, it's so funny because I've been like almost against affirmations for so long. But they're like, start with a phrase, my body is fit and lean, and all the food I eat is healthy for me, and it's everything I do with my body is making it healthier and more toned, or whatever.
Yep.
And repeat this for 10 minutes and do that for 7 days, and you'll notice a difference. Now, I haven't even done that for 10 minutes. I've been just like, I took what they said and I've been like, oh, I haven't been saying that about myself. I've been saying I eat a donut, I get fat. I have to exercise or I get fat. I'm
Yes.
35. I'm getting fat. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah.
there's just been a track
Mhm.
running that I just like, I mean, I do this work all the time. I just like wasn't even totally aware that I could choose something profoundly different.
Mhm.
And as they present it to me, I've just been like, yeah, I literally say whenever I eat food now, I'm like, whatever I eat is healthy for me.
Yes.
Everything I eat is healthy for me. And I love my beautiful, fit, lean, strong body. And it's getting more toned all the time. And I love to see that. And people tell me all the time too.
Yeah.
Like they like to add that. If you want, you could even add people tell me this all the time. They love to add
Oh,
that
I
as
love
like
that.
part of your creation is like, and people are always telling me this, whatever it is that you're wanting. And immediately I feel thinner. My face, I look at my face in pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much more bone structure. And like I'm there's also just like less reference to my body. I'm not looking at it picking and going, "Argh." I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, my body's fit and toned and it's getting even more fit and toned and easily and enjoyably and not it just is. It
Yes.
just is. And I'm not walking up this hill. It
Yeah.
just looks like I am. And so how do I want it to feel? Like when we were walking up the hill and I was like, oh, it's a slog. And then I was like, I'm not walking up this hill. It just looks like
Wow.
I know that this might seem really far out there to
No.
you or other people, but I'm like, it
Not to
feels really
me.
cool and expansive. And so why not believe it? Like we just get to create our reality based on
Yeah.
what feels better.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, here's the thing. Everything you just talked about, or at least for me, I've heard forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like this
I don't know. I just feel like I get it now.
exactly. Same. Where like I didn't always get it, but this isn't like new information. Like this is something
I
that
know
has
that
been
for sure.
told
Yeah.
forever. So
Yeah.
this doesn't seem far out there to me at all. It seems like the next logical step for us to be really experiencing this now.
Yes.
Because we've gotten to a point of really allowing it to be our reality, like not resistance against it going, well, that can't be true or whatnot. No, we're like, this is
Could it
true.
be? Yeah. Like I'm like, well, it feels good.
Yes.
So like maybe in the past when this information was presented, it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel close. It didn't feel possible, whatever. It
didn't
was
feel
too
possible.
far.
Yeah,
And so I
exactly.
was like, no, what's the point in even
Yes.
considering that? It felt so impractical or whatever. Like
Yes.
I really used to think, what's the point in talking about metaphysics? Like we're here on earth. But now I do feel like I'm at this point where I can say an affirmation and it works and
Yeah.
I can decide for something and it's done. And like the things that you've always offered of like, you can just, I feel like you've said this since I've known you, you can just drop it. You can just
Yeah.
drop it. And I was still in this sort of like, it's where I was and where I'd been coming from that I was like, and also attention to where others might be, not just myself, but thinking like a coach and
Yeah.
where clients might be. And I've been even releasing that like in a just a delicious way because I'm like, I don't care to look at anyone else's resistance and where they might be and how to get them somewhere else. Like that doesn't feel like fun. It feels like, oh, I gotta like drag, like it feels like responsibility that like I can't just like experience this expansion for myself, that I have to bring everyone along with me. And like that's been a huge fucking relief in the last week for me, Robin. I've just been like, I don't have to teach anyone this. Like I can just like experience it for myself and I don't need anyone to get it.
Yes.
And although
Yes.
it's delicious, it is delicious to talk to someone who's like, I get it too. Cause
Yes.
that just feels so good, but I don't want to convince anyone.
Nope.
That doesn't feel good. Anyway, again, I'm sort of
Totally
like,
agree.
I got my words back.
Yeah.
Now I'm going on.
Cat, let your tongue loose.
Thanks. Thanks, cat. Me. I'm the cat.
Me, yeah. It's such a great conversation, and it's fun to bring this into our awareness now. And like I've said, like I just love that we're doing this podcast where we're sharing our journey.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's going to be so fun to see how this unfolds more and more and more, right? But it's like there's two things I wanted to say in terms of, okay, the word deciding, like you mentioned, that I agree feels really like, because when you make a decision,
It feels
it's like
decisive.
it's like a final.
It's like a
I've
knife.
decided.
Yeah.
Done.
Decided this is how much cake I want.
Yes.
I
Yes,
cut
exactly.
through the
Boom. Like
I don't know why
done.
it's cake. Yeah, it's
I
mine.
love it. Hey.
I know.
I'm getting all the nutrients I need from that cake.
Exactly. It's healthy.
It's healthy. Yeah, I still have a little resistance around believing that. Just gonna speak it. But anyways, but that deciding, like it does feel more powerful to use that terminology for me than choosing. I love the word choosing.
It does.
But it does feel more powerful to say deciding, because it's like feels like the next step after choosing. Like I choose it and then I decide it. And
yeah.
And it is.
Yeah, like what would I
done.
choose if I could? And then it's like I select the fruit that I want to pick, and then I decide. I've decided, and then I pick it.
Yes.
The choice is like looking at the options.
Yes.
And then I've selected it.
Yes. Done. Picked it. You have it.
And let it go.
And there, in this, and I think actually I bite in it. It's like delicious and nutritious.
Yes.
But this also, I think this was in the intro that you sent me from the Communion of Light, but this goes along with like what so many other channels I've listened to have said as well as Sarah Landon and the council. But it's like, and this kind of goes along with what you were saying before about like the weather. You don't have like this past like story going on or resistance or experience with like where you're really fighting against like your belief system around weather.
Right.
Because what I think what happens is that when they're and I do this where I don't have a clear decision. I'm kind of like, I'm cool with whatever. Like I'll say that a lot because I kind of like do when I'm in group of people, I don't really care. Like I kind of go with the flow or whatever. But that's actually not completely, if I'm being like so true, like to myself, if I slowed down and took a moment to check in with myself, I do have a preference.
For sure. That's what my whole session was about this morning. I'm excited to share it with you because we were talking about social contracts, and
this is
like,
great.
by the way, you can say that you want to leave the group and maybe you didn't choose that. And also, by the way, you can say like, I don't want to fucking listen to what you guys are talking about anymore, but you don't have to say that either. And there are other ways to get what you want in a group. And I was like digging in more. I was like, but isn't that going against someone else's free will? Like if I'm asserting my will on theirs and changing them. And he was like, everything you do is for the good of all, like for the good of you, it's for the good of all. And
yes,
the more you know that, and there was like so much where I'm just like, it was almost overwhelmed. I was like, okay, I'm good for today. Like, I'm going to take that in. He literally said like, this was like an hour's worth in 30 minutes. He was like, you just walked through the forest and you picked every single strawberry off that bush and the bunnies are sad because all the strawberries are. And I was like, that's a weird analogy, but he was like, you got all the juice out of it right now. Like, and I was like, I can feel that. I'm full. I'm excited to share that with you. I might even put it in the show notes so that people who are listening to this can hear that session. Because it was like,
oh, that's so helpful to so many people.
We just talked about it. Like I started off saying I'm feeling uncomfortable, but it was specifically around going from not being around people to being around people. And that sort of like, even at the end, I was like, but is it okay that like I want to be alone right now? And they were like, you're like an ape, or you're a primate. You think that there's this like embedded in your whole being and the culture around you. It says that you have to be communal. It goes against everything that says you want to be alone. There's nothing wrong with that. And I was just like, oh, even that's okay to just be alone.
Okay, I just had to hear that as well. Sav, I can't get over our conversations. I literally can't. It blows my
You got
mind how
like tears
like
in your eyes. You're just like,
I
I
do,
want to
because
be
like it
alone.
just is blowing my mind that I have these conversations or these thoughts or these things that happen in between us talking, and then somehow you always bring it up in some way. Like, and I guess, I mean, this is the whole point, right? Is I'm drawing this to me. I
Yeah,
had a
you're
desire.
creating this.
I'm creating this. Like that, I literally needed to hear that because I was just, of course, talking to Charlie about how I kind of want to be alone. Like, I am like desiring going off the map for a moment, like going off the radar and like being in the English countryside and not talking to anyone,
Yeah.
not getting together with anyone, being
Yeah.
on my own for however long I need to.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was judging that
Yep.
because I have been such a outgoing, I really love connection like person, you know, I'm always connecting with people and things, and I was sitting there kind of like, oh my gosh, like is there something wrong with me? Like I always feel this desire, especially after a packed like time like this
Yeah.
weekend with so many different people,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, oh, I want to like go be all
Mm-hmm.
by myself, or like I'm with people, like people I don't know, like
Yeah.
in the English countryside in a beautiful town, and getting a coffee and talking to the barista, but like no one that knows me
Mm-hmm.
and is pressuring me to go get dinner.
Talk to them for
Talk to
longer than
them.
2 minutes
Exactly. It's
about the
like,
weather.
yeah, about the weather, what everybody talks about in England. Um, they do always. It's the topic, number one topic, the weather.
If they all knew they could choose. And that's a powerful story.
That is a powerful story that England holds for themselves,
They
that they
manifest the
are
hell out of that.
100% so interesting. Oh my gosh. I could like
I
go on a tangent with that because it's like, it's so like clear to me. Anyways, but yeah, just even releasing like that need to have to be social,
yeah.
and that there's something wrong with me, that when
Yeah.
I am social, that then I feel depleted.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big part of what I allowed yesterday too. It got to anger because I didn't want to be around people anymore. And I was like so mad at myself that I wasn't being better human.
Yes. Yes.
And then when he said that to me this morning, I was just like, oh, thank you. It's so funny because like I feel like I'm constantly handing out permission slips to people.
Yes.
And I've given myself this permission slip over and over and over again, but this time hearing it in this way, like being called a primate, I don't know why, but it just like struck even more deeply, like how ingrained it is, like genetically or whatever. It was just like, yeah, yeah, duh. And it feels like what's supposed to be, but truly anything can be. And it like, that's like the same thing as saying what's supposed to be is that you're supposed to work hard for money.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
anything can be your experience. And like,
Well, yeah. That's what they're
what?
talking. Like I'm reading the book. I'm starting to read the book, his book,
Yes.
and it
Spinning
talks.
straw into gold.
Yeah, I think the first chapter is literally called um, like moving from making money to creating money. or something
Exactly.
like that, right? And
The difference
exactly.
between making money and creating money.
Yeah, there you go. It's just like that. All I keep hearing too is that phrase, like where your attention goes, your energy goes,
Mm-hmm.
and how like even Wayne Dyer, his big thing was intentions. What is
Mm-hmm.
your intention? That's
Mm,
everything we're talking about right now.
mm,
Is like if you're really clear of deciding
mm,
and allowing yourself to decide, then your attention and intention is all going on that.
mm.
And the energy goes to it. And then
Yeah.
it's manifested into reality. It
Mm-hmm.
is. But the thing where we get tripped up is that I don't think we make clear decisions.
Mm. You
Where
were
it's
starting to say
split.
that earlier.
Like it's like split energy on it, right? Where we're like, okay, I really want,
But can I have it?
can I have it? Do I believe I can have it? So it's like this whole kind of like the energy split.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we're really clear and we were really aware and present with what is here now when we think that thought and clear it out and get really focused and decide, and so it is.
And that goes back to what I was saying about the weather is like, it's now that I'm wanting this. So another thing I get big time from the samples, I don't know about the book because I've been listening to the samples so much on the website communionoflight.com, is now is the only moment. And when we decide for something now, then it can manifest now. But when we're just like saying, I think I want this in the future, what am I going to want then? And you're constantly thinking about like what you're going to want at some later point in time. There's no energy or power in that. Uh, I was
The
saying to
power of
Tom,
now.
The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle,
Yeah, I
which I
love
read
that.
years ago.
Yep.
But here we are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, I was saying to Thomas, like, I'm sure of it when we decide where we want a house or when we see the house that we want, when we make the decision for a house, we'll have it. There's no question in my mind that we'll have it within a day. Like we can have it whenever we want when we decide for it. BB's getting worked up about something. And it's like not needing to, we want to know that we'll have what we need when we need it down the way. And so we think and we plan and we strategize but like when you're just here in this moment, like this has been a profound meditation for me. When we are here in this present moment, I can acknowledge in this moment, I have everything I need. I have everything now. And if I decide, like my brother came over and we decided to go get lunch. And in that moment when I decided I want I want sushi. And I decided to get lunch. I had everything I needed in order to, that's possible. I can make that happen. I can imagine in my head, me going to the sushi restaurant, me taking my card out, me paying for it. It's done. I'm deciding for that then. And like the profoundness is like bringing it back to now, when you do decide for something,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have what you need for it. Like it's just like about that, like, yeah, Thomas and I have been thinking about new vehicles or whatever. And I know for sure when we decide what we want, we will have it.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I can't explain it any more
Yeah.
than that right now, but it's just
Yeah.
like right now I have what I want. If I ask myself, is there anything else I want right now? It's like, no, I have all I want and way more.
Yes.
Is there something and then when I come to a moment where there's something more I'm wanting, I'll decide for it then.
The other thing, like, yes to everything you just said, and the other thing that like has been coming through as you were talking is this whole concept too of anything that we can imagine or imagine and have a desire for already exists.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's not the reason that we can imagine it
Yeah.
is because it already exists.
Yeah.
And that like understanding for me, because I think, in the past I've had this kind of idea like, oh, wouldn't this be nice that I go into my imagination and imagine this like home, that would I have a very
Yeah.
clear idea of this particular home and what it looks like in the English countryside that I would love.
Yeah.
And in the past, I think I have had thoughts of, well, that would be nice. Like,
Yeah.
like that's not thinking that it's actually real.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, I'm just really excited about going, do you want that now? In this moment, do you want that? Do you want to be in that house in the English countryside right
No, not
now?
right. No, not right now.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You've got what you want right now. And
That is so cool. I'm so glad you just asked that question because
that's what I'm
that's it.
saying.
That's it. That's it. And
When
the
you want
matter,
it, you'll have it. And that's the thing is we dream and we dream and we yearn and we say, oh, I want this thing that will I ever have it. And it's like, do you want it now?
yes. Oh,
You
that's so
don't.
funny. That just landed so much for me because so many times the council does this, Sarah Landon and the council does this for callers, right? Where they go,
Yes.
well, if I can have anything I want to fly to Paris and blah, blah, blah. And they always ask, do you want that right now?
Yeah.
And then the person kind of goes, well, not right
Not
now.
right now, but someday.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
Maybe in
well,
like June or,
yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe in August.
Well, then now it's not happening. You don't
Yeah.
really want it now.
You don't want it now.
No. That is so interesting because that's the thing. Like, I love where I am right now.
Yes, you do. I bet you fucking do.
I do. It's fucking awesome. I'm having so much fun living in LA and experiencing this. Like, this, I'm not done. I'm not done
Oh,
here.
I'm just, yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. I love it.
I'm really
I
glad
absolutely
you
love it.
brought that example in because that's what I was saying is like, I can't explain it anymore to you about like me and Thomas in a car or whatever. Like,
Yes.
I just know when we decide we want a house, we'll have it. And
Yes.
people keep saying to me, well, what about jeans and Blue Diamond and what's going on with that? And I'm like, we're here in this tiny house. Like, I've got this right now.
Yes.
I literally could care fucking less about what's happening in any time really in the future.
Yes.
Because right now I have everything I want. And I intend for that's like never not been the case, actually. If I look back on the time of my life, like it's never not been the case, except for when we think we want something that we can't have. And then it does become that just dreaming or yearning or whatever. And I'm just like, so sure. So I'm kind of like eager even about jeans. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to want.
Yes.
In October when Thomas, like, honestly, I don't know what the summer holds for us. Like we have these 2 months in this tiny house and then we have like a month planned in Wyoming. And I'm like, who knows? Thomas keeps getting all these job offers. He got a job offer to go climb towers in Australia like yesterday. And I'm like, who knows? Like maybe he's going to get an offer to climb towers in Norway or Italy, like, which has been a dream of mine. And I want to be able to say yes to whatever I want. I don't have a bed to deal with right now. which
Yes.
if I had picked up that bed and said, I need to carry that bed with me, I was like, I'll get a bed when I need a bed. And right
Yes.
now I don't need a bed.
No.
And if I want a bed now, if I kind of feel like I want a broom, I'm going to go get a broom.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Target later. I'm going to go get a broom because I want a broom now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited we're doing this podcast too, because I'm really excited to see like what is. I was saying to someone the other day and I was like, I can't believe I wrote this as the description to the podcast, because truly I said this out loud to someone the other day. I was like, I'm learning how to become an even more deliberate creator of my reality. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wrote that. Actually, AI wrote that for us.
ChatGPT, what?
What? ChatGPT, best assistant. A podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities. And I was almost thinking of just saying mastering creation instead of the creation process, and living a life of extraordinary possibilities. Join us as we share our personal journeys to impeccable alignment and creation, and inspire you and ourselves to become an even more deliberate creator of our own reality. And even that, like, I did those like hyperlink, even more deliberate, because I wrote deliberate and I was like, no, we're already being deliberate and even more deliberate creator of our reality.
Yeah.
And this is like this is like life. And
yes. It's like, it's wild. It's so cool. I'm so thankful.
I know.
Like this, the timing of all of this is just, but like the fact.
Robin's crying again.
I really.
I could cry.
I could bawl my eyes out. I won't. But I'm getting teary. It's just one of those things that what I have been experiencing, what you have been experiencing is like this creation process, like things flowing to us and with ease. Like, I think we both have been experiencing that, right? And we've been sharing about that. And I feel like we released like resistance around that. And so now we've been experiencing that, right? Of like this ease and things coming to us. And now we're stepping into, after this conversation, there's no going back. Now we're deciding.
Yeah.
Now we're being really decisive on what we are creating.
Yeah. Now I feel like I've turned a corner and I'm getting very specific again.
Yes. Yes.
And for a while, I was just very general.
Same.
And it served me.
Yes.
It served me very well to be very general. Yes. And now I'm like, I'm having this massive explosion of like, eagerness and excitement about like, oh, now I can be specific again.
Love it. Same.
I can just be very directive. Yeah. I am all the time anyway, but there was just whatever. It doesn't, I really feels irrelevant to like where I even was. Like, I don't know. I don't care. And I remember you're like, I don't know. Let's not talk about the past. And I was but it's important, Robin. And now I'm just like,
now
here we go. I keep telling everyone who's reading this book with me, like we have a book club. Terry has a book club and they'd read 8 books, but we've started to read this one. And all of these people, it's like catching on like wildfire in my community of people. And so whenever we get together, we're just talking about these ideas. And I'm like, we've all climbed on this spaceship and we're just going like light speed ahead. And I really do feel like it's just right place, right time, always. There's no wrong place, wrong time. And they say that repeatedly. They're like, welcome to the perfect moment of your become, like, this is like the moment of your greatest good. And like they always repeat this when they open up their, and I'm just like, thank you for reminding me. But now it's like I'm drawing the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm deciding.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I was talking today, there's like these two distinct sections. There was like the allowing, and there was kind of this like moment where we're like, oh, like I just need to like allow myself to be here. And then like this second half has been more about like deciding.
Yes.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the creation process.
Yes.
Allowing and deciding, and allowing what is and deciding what is.
Yeah. Yes. And then like trusting that and so it is. It's done. Like
Yeah.
full
Well,
trust.
yeah, like of course.
Of course. And so it is. It's
And
done.
so it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've been in a phase of allowing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the experience I've had of like
Mm-hmm.
what happens when I just allow.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Just
much
go with the
magic.
flow.
Yes.
You're talking about even being in a social setting, you're just going with the
Yes.
flow. But then it's like, but I actually do want to like have preference sometimes too.
Yes. Yes. And that feels like the next perfect step.
It does.
It's like the first step was, or at least more recently, what feels true for me is like really, really mastering what I feel, like dropping into my body, dropping out of my head, back into my heart, like
Yeah.
really mastering that process.
Mm-hmm.
And like then being really in tune with like my gut and my guidance and my
Mm-hmm.
divine self.
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, now I'm locked in, loaded, trust, know how that feels.
Yeah, you can
Now,
tell the difference.
yes. Oh, very easily.
It's
Very
choose.
easily.
Yeah.
And now it's okay. Ready to decide. I have chills.
Yeah.
I have chills. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool.
So cool.
It's so amazing.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it for today.
I think so too. Oh my gosh.
We didn't do a card reading, so let me flip to a
Oh,
page. Let's
love
do a
it.
page
Yes.
flip. All
Oh,
right.
cool.
There is nothing that is limiting your ability to create what you want. There is no doubt at all, at least within us, that you are capable of anything that you decide you are capable of creating, becoming, having, or doing. There really is no limit to what it is that you can conceive of, and whatever it is that you can conceive of is something that you can actually experience, have, do, or be. We want to invite you today to start thinking more along these lines and less about what it is that you do not have or cannot do or have not done. When you begin to turn your attention to the potential or what is coming and the possibilities of what you are creating and to the expanded version of the you that you are becoming, what happens is that you begin to liberate yourself from the chains of the past, from the binds and the bounds that you have put upon yourself that keep you from believing in who you really are. Well, you see, we have no doubt about who you are. And at the core of your being, you certainly have no doubt about this either. But you've trained yourself vibrationally to believe that somehow you are less than who you are, perfect and whole right now.
Mm.
There really is no limit to what you can create. The only limitation that you ever have is the limitation that you place upon yourself.
Perfect. Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes, and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a welcome to, right?
It's
But
happening.
let's start from the beginning.
It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry
and Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.